Hey guys, welcome back to RHR Jen. I'm so glad you're here. Guys, I'm a happy goose today, and that's because I have Hannah from the Swish Magazine here with me. Hi, Hannah. How are you?
Hi, Jen. I am doing so great, and it's so wonderful to be here with you and with your audience. You've all been so kind to me. I've only recently gotten to know you, but it's been such a wonderful introduction.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy you're here, and I feel the same way about you. And I have to mention John Witherspoon, friend of the show, because he's the one that made me aware of your wonderful work. And so I'm so happy how it all worked out, and so glad you agreed to come on. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks to your audience that's come and watched all my videos and commented. It's been fun to see y'all come over. So thank you.
Good. Yeah, I noticed some honks in your comments. It's good.
Me too.
That's awesome. So yeah, guys, if you don't know, Hannah has this incredible magazine, which we're going to talk about, but she also has a YouTube channel. So definitely check her out. And Hannah, would you prefer people find you on social media as well? Would you like to go ahead and give that a plug or?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. Obviously, you can
Mhm.
probably go to the link in the description. We'll
Yes.
link something there and you can subscribe. And then on my Instagram, it's just the Swish Magazine. And there I really go into practical ways to embody classical femininity and then some news and all the kinds of things that we love. So you can follow me there. I'm trying to start the TikTok. I haven't been very good at that. So
Yeah.
that's the Swish Magazine as well, if you want to go over it that way. But of course, everything can be found on our website, theswishmagazine.com.
Amazing. Okay, we will definitely check that out. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to get into your story. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, and what sparked your passion for celebrating classical femininity? I always have trouble with that word.
It is a funny word if you say
Yeah.
it 10 times fast, especially. Well, I was raised classically educated, which is kind of a new thing. It's an old new thing, but I was raised that way kindergarten through college, which means I was reading the great books, I was admiring great women. And I started to realize when I was a teenager that something was very different about the type of women that I had loved, like Princess Catherine and a lot of other modern celebrities. So I have over here next to me a stack of magazines that I've been collecting since I was like 5, of Princess Catherine, since before she and William got married, when they first started dating. So I've always admired her. I always loved her, but there was something just so different about her. So when I was in college, I started studying the art of elegance, women like Audrey Hepburn, Grace Kelly, Princess Catherine, trying to understand what is it exactly that makes them so different, other than what they wear, because anybody can wear those things,
Absolutely.
as we'll
Sure.
talk about
Yeah.
momentarily. Um, and so I started studying those things. I came across some interesting studies about elegance, and kind of 4 principles that really are the foundation of those things. And so when I then met Meghan Markle, I should say met meaning I was introduced to her like online and kind of started following her journey, there was something very different about her. And I don't know about you, Jen, but I was up late the night before her wedding watching Suits because I'd never heard of Meghan before. And at that point, I was a fan. I hate to admit it,
That's
but I,
okay. Yeah. Well,
I
you were
was
just giving her a chance. Sure. Yeah.
absolutely. There was nothing at that point that really had a red flag to me. But as time progressed, I was in college and something just felt really off to me. And I went back to these principles of elegance and I realized that she really was missing the mark on a lot of these things.
Uh-huh.
And so it made me concerned and worried that a lot of people weren't seeing the things that I were that I was.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I started a blog talking about femininity and elegance, and that kind of turned into what we have today with the magazine that dives
Mhm.
into classical femininity and
Uh-huh.
how that's different than, like, the trad wives or the boss babes of
Yeah.
the trending world, because classical femininity isn't trending. So that's a long answer for you there, but I hope
No, I'm fascinated. Yeah. Can you tell me some of the principles that you're talking about?
yes, absolutely. So there's 4 principles to classical femininity. First one is symmetry. That means you're aligned inward and outward with what is
Mhm.
true, good, and beautiful. The
Mhm.
second is subtraction, meaning you are strategic about what you're showing and you're not showing, both in what you wear
Mhm.
and in the things that you say, in the way that you present yourself.
Uh-huh.
Probably think of some ways that things
Yeah.
have gone wrong. The third is sustainability. So investing in things that are timeless, things
Mhm.
that are going to endure for ages. And then the last one is seduction. That doesn't have to mean promiscuity or something like
Alright.
that. It
Uh-huh.
just means that there's something interesting about you. A lot of people think that elegance is boring or
Oh, no.
something that is, what old ladies do. But I think it actually is a way to be really interesting.
I think so too, and when I think of, like, again, Catherine, I'm a huge fan as well. I would never say boring, never.
No.
Opposite of. So I love that. I think that's fantastic. Did you come up with these principles, or is this something you've learned along the way?
So that was an original study by an author named Matthew E. May, who wrote an amazing book called In Pursuit of Elegance: Why the Best Things Have Something Missing. And it actually is a book written about Toyota.
Okay.
And I read it thinking it was about elegance or clothing or something. But I started applying this perspective to femininity, to womanhood while reading it. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So shout
Yeah.
out to Matthew. He's an amazing author, and so I've taken his studies and kind of tweaked them a little bit to have this framework. But yeah, check out that book too.
That's so cool. I will for sure. I'm an avid reader, so I've just added that to my list. That's fantastic. That's really
Good.
cool.
Thank you.
Um, so the journey of starting the Swish magazine sounds so inspiring. Can you share how it all began? What motivated you to create a platform dedicated to timeless elegance and classical femininity?
Thank you. Well, I have created something that I wish that I had had in college because I always loved fashion magazines. I always loved um, media platforms like this, but I felt like those were so tied to modern trends in every sense of that word. And they're often very politicized.
Uh-huh.
And so I wanted to create an outlet that celebrated the classics and those timeless truths without having to get into the mucky conversations that we all hate, especially I created this after the last election and all that. Like, let's
Mhm.
just celebrate and
Yeah.
seek those things that are true, good, and beautiful together.
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of the inspiration for it. And then I've got guest contributors that will come and write and share their thoughts towards these things. And so that we've got that, and then we've got digital stuff that's on the website as well, weekly. But we have the quarterly magazines that are full editions in print and digital.
That's amazing. So where can we pick one up? You said in digital, but also where can we pick up a print? Can we order it from your website or how?
Yes. So the first edition, which is out right now, the second edition, our summer edition, is coming out in the summer this week.
Ooh,
Our summer edition, that's crazy. It's coming out this week. So
yay.
the spring one is on our website. It also can be found on Amazon and many global distributors, Barnes and Noble, Walmart.com, crazy outlets like that, which I can't
Amazing.
believe that the global distribution's been picked up to that point. But of course, I'll just tell you, you guys can get a little bit of a better deal if you just say go straight to the swishmagazine.com.
Okay, yeah, we're happy to do that. That's exciting. Oh, and you have a new edition coming out this week. Ooh, you're a busy girl. That's good. That's
Yeah,
really good. That's
thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah. I'm truly loving the grace and authenticity which you bring to the Swish and to your YouTube channel. It's such a joy to watch. It truly is. What was the initial spark that led you to launch your YouTube channel, and how does it complement what you're doing with the magazine?
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah,
Mhm.
the YouTube channel was kind of first.
Okay.
I originally created the blog, then I created the YouTube channel, and then I have the additions.
Mhm.
I am a talker, first of all, and I'm sure, and most YouTubers are like that. And I jokingly, I just love to write. But when my husband and I were dating, I used to have all these thoughts about things, and I would write essays to share with him about the things that I was thinking.
That's
So I,
cool. Yeah.
so I thought, what would it be like to have a video essay? So I
Mhm.
started creating video essays around some of these topics, and there was no greater person to exemplify what happens when you don't embrace classical femininity than Miss Meghan Markle, not Sussex.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of the beginning of that, and a lot of people really appreciated a fresh perspective on these topics, and so I've been so grateful for the support and the viewership that I've had over the last year.
That's amazing. That's really good. Now, do you have a favorite video that you've done?
Oh,
Sorry, put you on the spot.
that's so many. The one that really kind of has been exciting for my viewers, and it's been an introduction to a lot of people to my channel, is the one where I hold Meghan to those 4 principles of
Oh,
elegance and talk
uh-huh.
about where she goes wrong and how to look at this situation from a different perspective, because a lot of people want to drag her, of course they do,
Mhm.
but I want to look at it from a different perspective and see it
Mhm.
as a cultural analysis too of what we can learn from it, instead of just dragging on the
Yeah.
situation that's already a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's excellent. So we'll definitely be sure to click on that one. Maybe I can link that video
Yeah,
specifically to this. That'd be great. That's
thank
cool.
you.
Yeah, no problem at all. Do you mind? I'm just curious, what is your definition of a feminist? And do you consider yourself to be a feminist?
There are lots of definitions of feminism. I think at root,
Mhm,
what it's always meant is just being pro woman. I think we
mhm.
can all agree with that. But unfortunately, it's become a politicized term. So
Yeah.
I don't actually really use that term. I say I'm
Yeah.
100% pro woman. I want what's best for women.
Uh-huh.
But I think classical femininity provides a different approach to it, that is
Mhm,
actually giving women probably more opportunity than
mhm.
what typical mainstream fourth wave feminism, I will say, because there's a lot of history there,
Yes,
is giving women right now.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so. And then the concept of classical femininity, I always struggle with that one, is so beautiful and it's so layered. How do you see classical feminism empowering women to embrace their individuality and succeed on their own terms, do you think?
Yeah, well, classical femininity, I define it as the preservation and reflection of truth, goodness, and beauty in
Oh,
womanhood.
uh-huh.
So if we are not focused on ourselves, we're focused on our communities, we're giving instead of getting, which I find to be the difference between modern feminism and classical femininity. It's not just about finding yourself, but actually finding yourself through pouring into others, through embracing what's true, good, and beautiful, and celebrating womanhood, because
Yeah.
there is something beautiful to our soft side. I feel like thankfully culture's kind of come around to wanting to celebrate the soft side again, but for a while there, it was about women being as gruff as they could be. And I think in Princess Catherine we see such an enigma of what it's like to embrace that softer side but still be powerful in the
Yeah.
right kind of way, because
Uh-huh.
there is a power that comes with that that has been so lost. And I often get asked, Jen, about other women who
Mhm.
embrace classical femininity in the mainstream. And sadly, I just don't think there's that many role models these days
Mhm.
exemplifying classical femininity,
Yeah.
because it's something that has been kind of frowned upon for so long. So I am hoping, and my goal is to help raise up another generation or inspire women to be those kinds of role models again.
Oh, what a great goal. I think that's fantastic. I think that's really good. I
Thank
p
you.
I kinda sat down and thought about this as well and kind of wrote, hold on one second. I've got it here. Um, Kinda had the same thought. Here we go. Um, let's see. I did feminism and then classical feminism. Here. Oh, yeah, I did timeless elegance. So I just did. To me, it's a quality of character marked by grace, dignity, and authenticity that it
Mhm.
kind of reaches slash endures beyond trends and eras. So that's I think
Love
we're on the same page here, and that's
I
what I
love
think
that.
about. So, yeah, I think
Yes.
about Catherine, I think about Princess Anne, and I think about Sophie.
Mhm.
Those are 3 of my favorite royal, of course, Her Majesty the late Queen as well. I just my
Yes.
favorite royal ladies, and so I think
Yes.
that's an easy those are examples to look to, in my opinion, and that's honestly what one of the many reasons I love Catherine so much as well. I couldn't agree with you more.
The Queen is just a remarkable example of this in the way that she was so committed to her duty. And I
Yeah.
think every one of us has a duty. We may not be the Queen of England or
Right.
the Princess of Wales, but there is something greater than ourselves, a duty that we're called to. And so often we are told to put ourselves as the center of our world instead of having something that's a calling that's higher than ourselves. And so I think when we look at the comparison, I often say I hate to compare, but there's no better way to look at it between Meghan and Catherine. It's that sense of duty and
Mhm.
authenticity that really underlines it.
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly it, and that's what keeps me completely riveted as well. I personally get very much into psychology, so the psychology behind it completely fascinates me as well, behind the differences with Catherine and Meghan, and exactly as you're mentioning,
Yes.
we can see there. It'll keep you busy for a while, right?
Indeed, yes.
So, your perspective on opportunity feminism really strikes a chord. How do you see classical feminism empowering women to embrace their individuality and succeed on their own terms today, do you think?
Thank you. I just wrote a piece for the Daily Signal all about this, and it's a really interesting perspective on these issues that we talk about when it comes to femininity and feminism. And unfortunately, there are actually a lot of laws that have uh, made it hard for women to actually succeed on their own. And I believe that we don't actually need laws to make women have success. So there's laws like the California law that actually mandated that you have a woman on every single board of every business.
Uh-huh.
And as great as it is to try to have women be a part of every conversation, it kind of actually demeans it, in my opinion, by
I
saying, well,
agree.
women can't get there on their own unless you have somebody in the role. Like,
Right.
and you know what? They actually ruled that as unconstitutional, and women are still about 40% of every board.
Yeah.
So it is such a complicated, layered issue.
Mhm.
But opportunity feminism is about giving women the opportunities to
Mhm.
actually show that they can rise above, that they have the merit and the value to do so,
Uh-huh.
and not have all these laws that are mandating for them to be that way, because you're going to have the best and the brightest that way.
That's
And
right.
it's naturally going to create opportunities for when we're their best. So that's
I'm so glad you brought up merit. That's
yeah.
something that I feel so strongly about that I feel like is lost now. People don't think about merit, and it's so much
Mhm.
about that, in my opinion, about, regardless, just earn your spot and be the best, and then it just works out from there. Yeah, I agree with you
Exactly.
completely, completely.
Exactly. So yeah, that's it's kind of a fresh, fun perspective on it that I've enjoyed exploring a little bit more.
That's good, and
Um,
tell us again where you wrote the article for.
yeah, that one was published in the Daily Signal, so I
Okay.
can send you a link to that, and we can put that
Yeah.
in the description as well.
I
For
definitely
sure.
can. That's fantastic. Do you feel like classical femininity is organic? I don't always love that word organic because it gets beaten to death, but do you feel like it's organic? Do you feel, if so, do you feel like something that's being repressed and fought against by some? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, it's so interesting to me how this topic of classical femininity is something that people have recoiled at for no good reason, in my
Mhm.
opinion. People in my
Yeah,
comments all the time will say, "Oh, well, you're just trying to make like a Handmaid's Tale or something," and I'm like, "Wait, what
not
are
at
you
all.
talking about?" What? That's why it's not about being a trad wife. It's not about being a boss babe. It's about embracing what is truly the word organic, like what
Yeah.
comes naturally and where your strengths are. And so I do think there's a pushback because we've been scorned by a lot of these approaches. There hasn't been a great way to present these things in the past. And I think people are just they want what's best for women, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're tying that to a certain aesthetic,
Mhm.
which is why I think we need to dive into the values there as well as the aesthetics.
Exactly. Yes. Even when putting together the research to write out these questions, that's the thing I ran into the most is they often tied it to aesthetic, whereas I was like, no, I want to know more about characteristics.
Yes.
Aesthetic is part of it, but I want to know more about characteristics. Let's get a little deeper. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And true character is something that I feel has been lost in my generation. I'm 26, but
Mhm.
just culturally and generally, there isn't this striving to have a strong character anymore. It's more
Mhm.
about fitting in with the crowd. And so that's why trends are not really a part of classical femininity. They might poke up every so often,
Sure.
like the milkmaid dress that's kind of trending right now. Um, but it's more about those values that we're pursuing
Mhm.
in something greater than ourselves.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's fantastic. Um, let's see here. Your YouTube channel has such a distinct and captivating voice. Can you walk us through your creative process for producing content? How do you choose the topics and stories that you want to discuss?
Oh, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Well, there's, a couple different ways that YouTubers approach content. And personally, I have not positioned myself to be the type of channel that people go to immediately to see the latest news. I think
Okay.
you're more that way, Jen, which I'm so grateful for. I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Let me go check and see what Jen's saying. I really want to take these conversations that people are kind of aware of, like Meghan twerking in the delivery room
Yeah.
or what's going on in the Blake Lively
Uh-huh.
trial,
Yeah.
and then position it into why this matters and what can we learn from it. So I
Great.
get updated on what's going on. I,
Mhm.
I think about it. I kind of marinate on it for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then I will write something and record it. And sometimes I'll do a couple takes because I really do want it to be valuable takeaways that people can engage with. I don't want it to be something that others have just parroted either. I was telling someone the other day that I have sort of refrained from watching YouTubers sometimes
Yeah.
because I
Absolutely.
want
No.
it to be my personal opinion. I
Mhm.
don't want it to be a parrot of someone else.
That's right.
But I will still watch. Your channel,
Oh,
all
thanks.
kinds of others that I
Uh-huh.
really think have amazing perspectives. But I do want to make sure that it's my own flavor and perspective on it as well.
Mhm.
But I have done pretty much everything from soup to nuts. I did bring on an editor a couple months ago, but I actually walked away from that. I let him go because I just felt like it's a medium that I really wanted to have full control over, especially when
Yeah.
it comes to
Yeah.
editing, because I have this vision when I set out to do it, and I want it to be exactly as I want. And maybe one day I'll let it go, but I do want it to continue to be that video essay style.
Uh-huh. I think I just want to compliment you and say it's incredible what you're doing. It sounds condescending at such a young age, but it's such a young age to do everything, the magazine, the YouTube. And are you still blogging as well? Or you said that's become the YouTube?
Well, I've kind of outsourced that. We have guest contributors that have kind of become the blog element, I guess. Blog, I guess, is kind of an outdated term, but the articles,
Okay.
because we kind of turned it more into an actual news outlet where
Uh-huh.
people can come and hear the latest and perspective. So I do not contribute really to the blog anymore. I've got too much else going on.
Sure.
But we do have other people that are sharing their thoughts and opinions over there
That's
too.
cool.
So
That's
if anyone ever
exciting.
wants to write, you can go to the swishmagazine.com, and in the bottom bar, there's a link. I believe it's called Writers, Write for the Swish, and you can actually submit a pitch if you'd like to do that.
That's so cool. Sign me up. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, we'd love to have. Actually, we're going to do something like that soon, everybody. So stay tuned.
Yay! I can't wait. I'm so excited. I really am. It's always been on my list of things to do, so that's incredible.
Yay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And then what's the big picture vision for your YouTube channel? Are there specific messages or impacts you're hoping to achieve with your audience, like, over time?
Well, I think this approach of embracing classical femininity, I hope, will be more and more mainstream, that more people will want to engage these topics. I had a young woman reach out to me recently who said, I love working and
Mhm.
I really want to be a mom, but my whole family is pressuring me and saying I must work. And I'm constantly in tears because all I want to do is have a family. And she said, what do I say to them? What do I do? And I wrote back, I said, there are seasons to life. You
Yes.
can do it all. You just can't do it all at the same time. And so I hope that more women don't feel that kind of pressure anymore, that they must be in the boardroom, that they
Mhm.
must be doing these things at every point of their life. I think
Sure.
it's amazing and incredible and remarkable to have women in those positions. But I think
Mhm.
about Catherine, like she's scaled back some of her royal duties recently because she's so focused on her children. After that season is done, she will be back to be doing more.
That's
So I
right.
think there's rhythms to life like that that I hope to inspire in women as they watch, and also to consider these narratives, consider the messages that people like Meghan Markle are trying to display actually are indicative of a much broader cultural conversation, more than Meghan just doing her own weird thing with jam in the corner. Like they're actually, she's
Yeah,
tapping into messages that are so much worse than you could possibly imagine, in my
yeah,
opinion,
I
for young
agree.
women to be hearing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's so important that we call it out too. I mean, honestly, not just with her, but with everything. I think you're 1,000% right because I think it, it's making people uncomfortable with the concept or the conversation around feminism, and it shouldn't be
Yes.
like that. It
Yeah,
shouldn't be like that.
exactly. It's so polarizing, and I
It
don't think that
is,
it has to
and
be.
it's counterproductive. It's
Right.
setting women backwards, if you ask me.
Right, exactly. And also, I'll just say this, the 1950s was not the ideal, regardless
Yeah.
of where you're coming from, like, that was not good, so nobody is saying that.
No, not at all. I cannot, yeah, I can't make sense out of that at all. Oh, goodness. The royal family often embodies tradition and elegance, which feels so aligned with your work. How did Harry and Meghan first catch your attention, and what about their story drew you in within the context of
Mm,
your brand?
thank you.
Mhm,
Well, I have been a royal watcher, like I said, since I was really little. And
mhm.
so Meghan's introduction to the world, of course, piqued my interest. I heard about her when they first started dating, and I thought it was awesome. As an
Yeah.
American, I thought it was
Mhm.
so exciting that she's an actress, that at the time, a humanitarian, like that she was really, bringing in this new age for the royal family. And I was so excited about all that that could mean. And as a fourth grader who got up at 4 a.m. to watch William and Catherine's wedding, I just was so excited for another thing like that. So,
Uh-huh.
of course, I was just fascinated by her, but things really took a turn when I started seeing their social media.
Okay.
And I've done a whole deep dive on the way that they produce their content while in the royal family and how their social media was really kind of indicative of what was to come. It was very self-serving. It seemed it was very strange, and so
Yeah.
I started to kind of question a few things around that,
Uh-huh.
and then when they left. That was really the nail in the coffin for the way that they handled that. And so I have an amazing family full of royal watching women. And so all of us were having these conversations and talking about those things. And that's when the red flags kind of went up for me. And I wanted to dive into that more. But also, I have so many friends, and I've got even writers of ours that are Meghan fans, and they've loved Meghan
Mhm.
for years, but they also have come to question a lot around her. But I think a lot of Megan's base right now is Gen Z. And
Okay.
that's because she doesn't have a lot of other people that are gonna, let her do
Uh-huh.
her thing. And so I really hope that my generation can kind of see through some of the strategies and the tactics that she's using, because unfortunately, it's working on a lot of people my age.
Ah, fair enough. I'm closer to Megan's age personally, and I think a lot of us see through it.
Yeah, you do.
Like, so I think we're like, "What the hell is going on here?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
It's not
exactly.
right, but good for you, like, spread the word amongst the youth. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but there's lots of other celebrities that are doing this too. I mean, we just watched Blake Lively do that. I've
Yeah.
got another video coming out about J.Lo, which I'm sure is gonna be controversial, but there's a
I'm with
lot of
you.
parallels.
Mhm. I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. Oh, I can just imagine. I'm excited. When is that coming out? Do you know? Pretty
That
soon?
should be later this week,
Okay.
so stay tuned.
Okay, we will for sure. We'll definitely check back on that. That's exciting. Let's see here. Speaking of royals, do you have a favorite royal family member who particularly inspires you? How do you feel they reflect the values of classical femininity or timeless elegance?
Oh, well, of course, the cliche. I hate to even
Mhm.
say that it's a cliche, but Princess Catherine has been
No, that's
a role
great.
model for me my entire life, and so she is somebody that I absolutely adore, and my goal in life is to meet her. So that's the hope and the vision. We will get there, because I hope that she knows that she has inspired a generation of women in only the way that she could.
Yeah.
So I, of course, love Princess Catherine, but there's a lot of other minor royals that I've
Mhm.
come to know and love as well.
Mhm.
Queen Letizia has been
Mhm.
a
Oh,
really
yeah.
beautiful example, especially recently with the Spanish floods, how
Yes.
she kind of went out there and was a strong example of the monarchy, in an opposite way to the way that Harry and Meghan just appeared in the fires. So
Right,
I think
absolutely,
that
yeah.
was
It
a
didn't
great
seem
comparison.
staged. Yeah, I felt the same way, yeah.
Yeah, not staged, not self-serving,
Right,
but she's got a
exactly.
great look to her as well.
She does, she's beautiful, yeah. Uh, that's from Princess Catherine right there.
No way!
Mhm,
How did
I'm a
you get
huge fan too. Yeah, not me, my whole flock, we raised a bunch of money for, St. Jude, and we donated on behalf of Princess Catherine when we found out about her diagnosis, so, I
that?
wrote and let them know, so I got a letter from Princess Catherine and a letter from the king, so
Oh my word.
huge fan. So I've been around the king and around Princess Anne, not Catherine. That's the one that
Yeah.
I'm dying to. So you and I, tea with Princess Catherine, there you go.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna
That's
do it.
right.
That's
Well,
fantastic, and well done to your audience for taking that initiative. That is a wonderful, wonderful venture.
it is
Well
a
done.
very giving flock. I love this group so much. Yes, it's
Yeah.
been the best thing to come out of this. We call it the flock. It's just been incredible. It really is. Yeah.
Okay,
I
and
figure
that's what it's about. That's what it's about,
Mhm.
that community.
Yeah, I
Totally.
think so too. So much good to come out of it. I think so too, for sure.
Mm.
Okay, so speaking, let's see. Oh, I did read that one, and then I'm so thrilled to that we both share the love for Catherine, Princess of Wales, and I'd love to dive into what makes her such an inspiring figure. I've always admired how effortlessly she blends her grace and relatability, whether through her poised public appearances or her hands-on parenting moments. Do
Mhm.
you see her as a modern icon of classical femininity? And how does her style inspire the work you do at the Swish Magazine?
Oh, well, absolutely. I adore Catherine, and I actually have a 5-day Princess Catherine challenge where I created a series. So for 5 days, you can go through and learn all of these details of kind of in that framework, as I talked about initially, how to embody those things for yourself. It doesn't cost any money either. So
Great.
that's a great way. I mean, like to be that way, but also to do the challenge. So
Is
that
that on your YouTube or is that in your magazine?
I think that's linked in all the descriptions of my YouTube videos, and then
Mm,
it's on our website as well. But
fantastic.
um, the thing about Catherine too is she could wear a potato sack and look incredible. And
Yeah.
not just about how beautiful she is naturally. She
Mhm,
hasn't had, from what I can tell, any
mhm,
major work done. Sometimes she doesn't even dye her hair. And
mhm.
to me, that is a root of something so much deeper than the surface level celebrity culture
Yeah.
that we have everywhere else. There's something so richly beautiful to that. And so I have really admired her from the way that she composes herself, the way
Mhm.
that she speaks, the way that she relates to others. She's quiet about the way that she knows sign language so that she can speak to people.
Uh,
And so it's an amazing example. Like I said, that is rare these days. We don't have many women who don't want to be the center of attention. And I think
mhm,
that's what's the beautiful part about the monarchy, about royalty. It's
mhm,
not something that she ever set out to do.
mhm.
She has found herself in this position because she fell in love with someone, and I think she was created for this role. But
Yeah.
um, that, of course, is someone. She, of course, is somebody that I absolutely adore. But
Mhm.
there's so much more to learn from her than just her style, although that is impeccable.
Oh, yes, of course. But yes, I think it's a shining from within. She does. She has, grace and beauty and all that from within for sure.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And she rewears her clothes all the time too, which is so
No.
cool.
It's kind of not fair that she's that gorgeous inside and out.
Yeah.
I always say that jokingly, like, how is that even possible?
Well, it's something we can all aspire to. That's
That's
the cool
right.
thing about it is it's not something. Yes, she's got all kinds of funds and
Sure.
connections, but,
No, it shines from within. I don't think you could teach that or buy that. Yeah.
exactly,
Mhm.
you can't hack your way into that like
Well,
somebody we
and
know.
yeah, exactly. To compare it to Megan, you can spending all the money in the world on weird clothing does not equal It doesn't make you fancy or better or anything like that. It
Yeah.
doesn't make you shine brighter. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And there's a lot to be said about that for sure, because
Mhm.
it's you can play the part, but you can only play the part for so long.
I think so too. Yep, for sure. Okay, let's see. One thing I admire about, one thing I adore about Catherine is her genuine warmth and dedication to causes like mental health and early childhood development. Her ability to connect with people from children to charity workers feels so authentic. How do you think her approach to public service reflects that strength and compassion central to
Mm.
classical femininity?
Hmm. That's such a great question. I think it's so much about loving people. I know that sounds so basic, but
Oh,
it's not about seeing them as an opportunity to get a paparazzi shot or an opportunity to make yourself feel better about yourself. But I think Catherine displays a real genuine warmth towards all kinds of people. Princess Diana, of course, was so good at that.
yeah.
But she is authentic in the best sense of the word, and so it's loving people for who they are, who they were made to be. I think that is something that we've lost in
Yeah.
culture. And it sounds so cliche sometimes or emotional, but it's truly important to recognize that each of us has a calling on our life, and we can encourage one another towards those things.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Her fashion choices, we do have to talk about that for a second. I agree. It's more than fashion, but they're iconic. Yet I feel it's so refreshing that she often, as you talked about, rewears outfits, blending elegance and sustainability. How do you incorporate that balance of timeless style and modern sensibility into the content you create for your channel and for your magazine?
Oh, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's so easy to wanna just run down to H&M or Target or just kinda see what's going on, especially in influencer culture. There's this added pressure to want to look the part or feel like you look, um, better because of something that a celebrity wore.
Oh,
But I recently did a video, your audience can go check this out, on my Instagram, where I tried on sweaters from my great-great-grandmother
wow, that's so
from the
cool.
1940s. My aunt gave me a box, and it was amazing to me to see how actually there are styles that endure the test of time, and
Mhm.
there's beautiful pieces that I wear today that are nearly 80 years old because there's these frameworks that you can wear that aren't super trendy. So staying away from trends um, is the first place to start. Of course, there's always macro trends, but those micro trends, I think are the things to stay away from, unless you really love them and they really compliment you. But it's interesting to see for Catherine too. Over the years, her skirt's gotten longer,
Yeah, uh-huh.
and I know that's partly because she's gotten older, but also because it's part of that A-line symmetry that she
Mhm.
looks really good in, frankly, because
Mhm.
that's just
Yeah.
her own body shape. So, first of
Mhm.
all, understanding what looks good on you might not look good on everybody else. So, understanding your lines, that's the first principle
Yeah.
of stylish symmetry. And then your colors, how good those complement you. Little things like that are ways to make it all your own too, without feeling like it's boring.
Yeah, that's good. Those are good tips for sure. That's great. I guess as we wrap this up, you and I had kind of talked offline about some of the we'll say interesting posts of Meghan online. What are your thoughts in general on that? What do you see a trend? What are your thoughts, I guess, on what's happening with Meghan and her social media? Because that's something a lot of people are talking about now.
Well, her social media, I believe, is really all that she's got left.
Okay.
She has burned every bridge. She has come to the end of every contract that's not renewing. And even her podcast is very, very low on the ranks. So things aren't working. So she's going with what she's got, and she's just leaving it all out there for social media, as we've seen. So I think it's this warped version of authenticity. It's not understanding exactly what authenticity is. You could make the argument that she really can't actually understand that from a mental
Yeah.
um, hindrance, if that is what she's truly dealing with, which what it seems to be. But I have some real questions right now around the children being
Mhm.
on social media. I don't know if Harry has given the thumbs up on this. It would appear not. The two of them are absolutely contradictory about what's going on in their lives right now. She's saying she's in her honeymoon phase. He is saying that he is at his wits' end, as we can all see in that BBC interview. So something's not lining up. Something is very off. And if you want specifics on my thoughts, yesterday was Father's Day. That caption was sparse.
It was, yes. I compared it to a note you get from your dentist.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
Personal thing you've ever heard. Way to floss. Like,
Yeah, good job. You're the best.
yes,
You're our favorite guy. Like, I might as well see that on a card at, Walgreens.
Exactly.
Speaking
For
of
the
which,
guy in the office you don't know very well and you don't know what to get.
yes, exactly. So I just, for how heartfelt she was for herself on Mother's Day,
Yes.
you would think that she would be a little more thoughtful towards the man that has put her in this position to even have a royal title. But I mean, the videos were cute. They were kind of a weird filter. I didn't know if she was like filming her screen or what was going on with that. But I'm just interested to see where this goes, because you can't be fake authentic for much longer, especially in a relationship. So I think that something is really going to happen between them over the next couple years. I hate to say it for their children's sake, but it's impossible to see the way that they're at completely differing lives right now, and to see that continue on. So
I think so too. I tend to agree with you. It is interesting to watch, though. Again, the psychology fascinates me. So I was just riveted. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, well, she's also created the problem for herself in more ways than one, where yesterday around noon, everybody's thinking, where's Meghan's post? Like, and of course, she's kind of created that for herself, where everybody just is fascinated by what she has to say, which I think is what she wants. But also it is become micro analyzed because of these little details that I think that she's adding in intentionally. So
I think they're intentional as well. Anything to get people talking, good, bad, or other. She's like, yippee.
What do you think was her? I'll ask you a question. What do you think was her intention with that twerking video?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. If I knew, I'm still scratching my head.
Yeah.
I'm just stuck on it. I can't imagine the mindset it would take to think that that was a good idea.
No.
I can't imagine it. I can't make sense of it. The only thing I can think is she gets into this very childish, in my opinion, headspace, and it feels very childish.
Yeah.
It just, I'm not one that looks to get offended by things, but I found it very offensive as somebody who's given birth, as somebody who is a mother. Like, that whole, it's a scary time when you go in to have a baby, because, like, medical situation. I just can't imagine.
Well, the number one thing when building a brand is to understand your audience. And the majority of her audience is interested in her because of her royal connections. And so she is really shooting herself in the foot by posting things like that if she wants to be seen as the Duchess. That is not royal. And I think she lives in a bubble of people who are just affirming her more than she knows. So she thinks she's unstoppable. And she can get away with things like that she probably thinks is cute and funny, but is totally tone deaf to the way that she's coming across.
That's it. I compared it very much. I don't know if you read the book Spare, but I'm sure you're familiar with the big parts of it. It's very much in that same vein to me, in that, why in the world would Harry share some of those personal face cream stories with the world? Why in the world would she share this with the world? She didn't have to. I don't.
So one thing that we talk about with elegance, the elegance principle of subtraction, is that oversharing does not equal authenticity. And this is where Meghan gets it totally wrong. And people say that all the time. They think that going on social media and sharing their entire life is them being authentic, but there's a strategy to it, actually. And Meghan and Harry really don't understand that.
Not at all. Not at all. And I think it adds to that almost manic feeling that we're getting from their social media now.
Yeah, I get nervous going on Instagram now. Like, what are you gonna see?
Like, everybody thought this was a good idea. Nobody said, "What are you doing?" Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Wow. Well, Hannah, I can only thank you so much for your time and for your thoughtful answers and for sitting with me and talking to me. I really appreciate it.
well, I cannot thank you, your audience, John Witherspoon, enough. It's just been a pleasure to get to meet you through
Yeah.
all of this and have these chats about important conversations. And I hope that someone listening has something new that they can think about or maybe apply or look at these issues through a different framework because I think it's important to tie it back to something broader as well.
I think so too. So, in the meantime, how can we support you? Find your YouTube channel. What else can we
Yeah,
do?
you can just subscribe to the Swish.
Uh-huh.
If you want to also follow us on Instagram, the Swish Magazine, and then read some articles on the website. If you're wanting to know more about classical femininity, we have an article dedicated to that. I also have a couple videos on my channel that talk specifically about that. And then, yeah, we have our issues coming out in print and digital. And, one thing that a lot of people say is that it's really high quality. I don't know if you can see that. It's like
Yeah.
very glossy. I didn't want to have this be something that like you read and then just throw in the trash,
Mhm.
but truly have it be a beautiful thing to add to your coffee table or to elevate. I hate that word now because
Yeah.
like to
Uh-huh.
beautify your spaces.
Mhm.
Women are beautifiers at the end
That's
of the day, and so how can we contribute some thoughtful things that are also beautifications to your home?
That's outstanding. We will definitely check that out. Well, thank you,
Thank you.
Hannah, and I look forward to having you back soon, and we'll
Yes.
we'll collab together again.
Yeah, Jen's gonna be on my channel
I
soon
can't
too,
wait.
everybody. So I'm excited for that. But
Yay.
thank you so much.
Anytime. Thank you, Hannah. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.